Hello, hello, hello. Christina Shear here from the Mast Cell 360 team. Delighted to be with you again for another episode of our Facebook Live and YouTube show. We'd love to hear first and foremost where you're tuning in from. We are so grateful you're here. So whether you're joining us live or on the replay, let us know right there in the chat what country, what state you're coming from to join us. We love our international community and we love our local community. I'm here in Kansas City today, normally in Michigan, and I know that our very own Jamie Fries Miller, who's on the Mast Cell 360 team as well, is going to be with us, and you guys are going to be with us. So delighted to have you here. I see that Karen is joining us today from Ireland. So much fun. And as always, welcome everyone. Thank you to Cam and the team behind the scenes that's making sure we have an awesome show just for you. All right. Well, today's topic is all about from overwhelmed to empowered, navigating your personal MCAS journey. So as y'all are coming in live and sharing this, tagging a friend in to join us, I'd love to hear from you right now when it comes to your personal health journey. Are you feeling overwhelmed? Or are you feeling empowered? So go ahead and put that in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and read our normal show disclaimers. But in the meantime, you let us know. Are you feeling overwhelmed or empowered right now when it comes to your personal health journey? Okay, as a quick reminder, this presentation is for informational and educational purposes. It's not meant to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent illness. Be sure to discuss any health recommendations with your healthcare provider. And as always, our content is it's copyrighted for Mast Cell 360. It's for your personal and non-commercial use only. Please don't copy, duplicate, or make any other derivative works without prior consent from our team. It's strictly prohibited by law. You guys know how it goes. You've been here before. And just as a quick affiliate reminder too, some links shared during this presentation are on our website, are affiliate links, which means that Mast Cell 360 may take a very small commission if you purchase through the link. We only recommend products that we love and we personally use in the Mast Cell 360 practice, or even you may see it featured on our supplement store. Using our affiliate links never costs you anything extra, so be at peace of mind about that, everybody. But any commissions do support our newsletter, you know, those MCAS Mondays. Hope you guys have been checking your inbox for those. Our website, our ongoing research, and recipes, free tips, all the fun stuff that we make available to you. So Mast Cell 360 can continue to offer you more and more information on your health journey. So as we kind of get into the rest of the topic for today, I'd love to hop back over and see where everyone else is tuning in from. Okay, so I see we've got Angela is tuning in from Chicago, and I'm going to bring Jamie to the stage too. Jamie is our special guest for today, and I feel funny, Jamie, calling you our special guest because you're really more than a special guest. You are family around here. You are just incredible at what you do, and we're delighted to have you. And I know Angela is welcoming you. We've got Mary joining from Colorado today. Phil's all the way in Ireland. Love that. Hello, Phil. Karen, thanks for answering that question. For those of you that missed this, we were talking about, are we feeling overwhelmed or empowered when it comes to our current health journey? So if you guys want to enter that in the chat, we'd love to see it, again, whether live or on the replay. So Karen, we're going to be helping you today as you navigate overwhelm. Angela, same thing for you. We're going to be talking about overwhelm. Yep, I can imagine overwhelm being a thing when your daughter is trying to figure out how to navigate MCAS while at college. That's a tough one. Susan is joining us from Virginia, and she's feeling a little overwhelmed most of the time. And Jamie, I don't know about you, but when I think about my health journey, I think a sigh is probably a pretty good way to describe it. Just I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. But our goal today is definitely to move you from a place of overwhelm into feeling empowered. I know, Jamie, you're going to do a great job with that. So Teresa, be encouraged. We're going to make a big shift today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this on over to you, Jamie. Please share a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. I'd love for you to share those points that are up above.
Yeah. So for those of you who were not on last week, I am Jamie Fries Miller. I'm a holistic health coach. I got my certification back in 2020. And I've been with Mast Cell 360 for the past 2 years, absorbing as much as possible about MCAS because I have suspected MCAS. I never got a formal diagnosis, as many of you in this community may or may not have those, because it's hard to get one. And we don't need one to address what we think is going on in the body. And so today we're really going to be talking about what are the common pain points? What are these challenges of living with MCAS every day? And that's important because what I just said, right? Whether or not you have a diagnosis, you are the one going through these challenges every single day of your life, or maybe you are supporting or a caretaker for someone who is. I didn't know I had MCAS or suspected MCAS while I was in college, but there were a lot of signs. And so I just want to applaud you, Angela, for being there for your daughter. My mom was there for me during that time, and to have that support is so, so important. And I don't even know if I talked about support in today's slides, but it's a really important thing to note that maybe, in that empowerment stage, finding someone who really supports you personally, not just medically. Yeah, so we're going to talk about kind of how you identify those triggers, because part of that empowerment from getting over the overwhelm is being able to identify what the trigger is so that you can start avoiding those, right? And then we're going to finish off today really talking about how this journey needs to be personalized to you specifically, because while MCAS is something that we probably all have in common here, it can present itself so differently person to person. So we're going to cover all of those topics today.
That's great, Jamie. Thank you for sharing that. And, I do think it's interesting that support didn't end up on our bullet points, but it's already coming up because it's definitely been a game changer in so many levels. I can say being on this trip that I'm on right now, talk about a different experience coming to stay with some friends that have a family member that's gluten-free, and they understand allergy issues and how just there was no stress around food and dining and reactions. And it actually really allowed my nervous system to be so calm and at peace. And I had a chance to rest and really enjoy my trip, where I don't know, anyone else here ever gone on a trip and it just, you feel like you need a vacation from the vacation to recover afterwards because of all your health challenges during the trip? I know I have in the past. So I can't wait to travel home because I know I'm actually going to be so good when I get back instead of feeling the setback. So, all right. Well, Jamie, I know we have a couple slides to dive into today. You already mentioned who you are and what you do. And if you guys didn't get a chance last week to hear Jamie share more of her personal health story, you can always watch our past episodes on YouTube. You can also watch them on Facebook as well. Just go to our video page and you can click and you can watch Jamie's episode from last Tuesday, okay, and learn a little bit more about her story. Is there anything else in particular you wanted to highlight for today, Jamie?
About me specifically?
Yeah.
No, I think we're good. I know how you feel with. I'll just do a little anecdote about the support again, because so I got diagnosed with celiac disease in 2011, and I had only been dating my husband at the time. My husband now, but at the time we had only been dating for 2 months, and so he's really known me through my whole chronic illness journey. Obviously, there were signs and symptoms prior to meeting him that led me to the point of getting a formal diagnosis. But once you have that named to what's going on, you get a sense of relief and you're like, okay, now I can do something about it. And so I think we learned together what I needed to do in order to manage my health. And so he has been nothing but supportive through the whole thing. So I just want to really drive that point home, to find somebody who understands, even if they don't 100% understand, but doesn't ever question what you need to do in order to feel your best.
That's so good. It's
Yeah.
so important to just have that person that gets it. And I think, even as we've talked about, like you being one of our Mast Cell health coaches, and of course we have like the practitioners at the clinic as well, but it's just been amazing to have a conversation with someone that's been there and gets it, because not only can they just give you general advice, but they can give you that, again, like the personal antidotes of how to get through. And I'm grateful that you have a partner that gets it, Jamie, because I can only imagine what it's like for some of those in our community that maybe don't have a spouse or a partner that helps them in that intentional way to get through it. Or maybe they didn't have a mom like yours that understood kind of that process. Or one of our community members, right, sharing today about her daughter being in college. Like, I love that they're worried about their daughter and being there to support them. I'm sure they're probably sending the best care packages. Like, add us to the care package list, please.
And it doesn't have to be a spouse or a parent, but just find somebody that you can talk to that you feel safe, right? We are social beings. We need that connection, and it could be someone like on a Facebook group page, right? That also understands what you're going through. So find that MCAS friend. Find an MCAS buddy.
That's good. I love that. Mary just said, "My husband is my rock." So to Mary's husband, we applaud you today. We celebrate you today. Maybe y'all need to give a shout out to whoever one of those people are, or your community of people. And if you're walking alone, we talk about this here often, that we're here to be a community. We're here for you. We're not going anywhere. So if you've been maybe feeling like you need a supportive cheerleader in your corner, again, of course, like, you can always call one of our coaches and our practitioners, but sometimes it's just finding a person here in our community. So if you're someone that's like, oh man, I'm looking for that person, go ahead and put that in the comments too. I'm sure you'll get a bunch of people reaching out, throwing you thumbs up, and celebrating you, and encouraging you in the hard days. Like, that's what it's all about here. Awesome. I feel like the show has already gone like a completely different pivot for us today, but I'm loving it. And Jamie, I'm going to kind of hand the reins over to you. I know you wanted to share on common pain points. There were some things we didn't get to talk about last week, but there are some definite, like, we have had hundreds of people come through our clinic. And so there are definitely things that this community has in common. So I'd love for you to dive into that.
Yeah, so I think the first one is that, like, these common pain points are why this journey can feel so overwhelming, because you're like, there's so much going on. Where do I start? What do I do? And so symptom overload, right? I alluded to this, that MCAS can present itself so differently from person to person. And often these symptoms they can be frequent and unpredictable, right? We don't know when they're going to come. They can be anything from like hives to stomach issues to fatigue. These are all things about MCAS that, we have to figure out what our symptoms are. And then once we know what they are, we can say, oh, this is my body's way of talking to me. And we can start to decipher what is actually being communicated. So, right, like I said, someone may have hives and anaphylaxis. Someone else might be dealing with autoimmunity, fatigue, mold toxicity. So it presents itself in such a wide array of symptoms. It can be extremely overwhelming. And we do have, if you haven't explored our website in a ton yet, we do have a symptom survey, but we also have a mystery symptoms quiz. And so those are two resources that we can throw into the chat for you guys to explore. Social isolation. This one can be really, really painful, especially for younger people who are going through this. I think Angela mentioned her daughter's boyfriend is super supportive, but she worries about ruining events. Sorry, Christina, I don't know how to throw up a comment. But yeah, there we go. And things that they have planned, right? This is a real concern. Like, you don't want to necessarily participate yourself because you're afraid you might get triggered somewhere, because there are things outside of your control. And so a lot of times we retreat into that social isolation. So again, finding those people who understand and are willing to, maybe not wear certain perfume when you're at the event. Like having those hard conversations can be difficult, but we also, again, the point of today is to empower you. And so as difficult as they are, we want to empower you to be able to educate people to support your needs. And when you do that, you'll find out like who really are the people that you want to be around. If someone's not willing to change little things here and there that may benefit your health, they might not be the people that you want to be hanging out with anyway. So, it's a hard reality to come to sometimes, but again, the point is to empower you to feel like you can have those difficult conversations so that you can enjoy life as much as possible as well. Another source of overwhelm that we see is conflicting information. So for example, there are a lot of low histamine food lists out there on the internet, and there can be some contradictions. And so we get questions a lot of the time about like what makes ours different. So in addition to including low histamine and high histamine foods, we also include like histamine liberating foods. So maybe the food itself isn't high histamine, but it causes your body to release more histamine. And we also have a key of foods, a key on our food list that includes things that are actually naturally histamine lowering. So our food list is very well researched and comprehensive compared to some of the ones out there. So we're not saying that the other information is wrong, but it's really important to kind of find the information that you can trust. And so hopefully, Mast Cell 360, you guys you're here, you've learned to trust us. We're always open to having those dialogues with you. If something feels overwhelming, we hope that you turn to our resources and know that you can trust those as a source of well-researched information. And then the last common pain point that we're going to go over today is navigating the healthcare environment. So this is one we see a lot. A lot of practitioners are not very knowledgeable in MCAS. And so it's probably the hardest part about navigating your MCAS journey, to find a practitioner who is actually aware of the sensitivity that can occur with MCAS. So we actually had our first strategy session this week, and this came up where the practitioner who the client was working with was convinced that in order for her histamine issues to go away, she had to heal her gut. And the only recommendation that practitioner was giving this client was supplements. But the client wasn't at a point where she could tolerate supplements yet. So you can see where this practitioner not having knowledge of the level of sensitivity of not being able to even take supplements to heal the gut could cause extreme overwhelm. And so I just want to point out that our goal, one of the goals that Beth had was to run a practitioner training program. And we still have that goal because we want to be able to start certifying people in this MC360 method who aren't familiar with that level of sensitivity so that we can get this knowledge out there so that there are more practitioners to be able to help this community.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is definitely one of the hearts that we have as an organization. And we shared that, a couple times here recently, both publicly and privately and in our email list. And that's just part of our mission here is to be a resource and provide not just our internal practitioners, but practitioners across the globe with more information. Beth pioneered so many things in the space of MCAS. I know you know that, like through and through, Jamie. You've been so integral in starting that creation process of the practitioner program. And so, we're all over here like cheering and waiting for the day that comes into fruition. So yeah, but thank you for sharing some of those pain points. I'm curious of our community joining us live right now. Of those four things, system overload, social isolation, conflicting information, and navigating like the healthcare struggles, Which one is your biggest pain point right now? So I'm going to say it again. System overload, social isolation, conflicting information, navigating healthcare. You can also say all of the above if you're like, OMG, it's everything right now. So go ahead and put that in the chat. I'd love to see. So Angela shared that she's working to navigate healthcare right now. That's one of the challenges that she's going through. So thank you for sharing that. And Billy's navigating a couple things. Loretta, we understand all of them. That's a tough one, and we've been there. And I see, I love Patty's response. OMG, all yes, we get it. Lisa, we're holding space for you today. It's tough to deal with so many different things at one time. And then even Julie, she mentioned she's dealing with all of them too. So I know, just with that in mind, we've got so much going on with our community. Stacy mentioned she's got system overload. She's always navigating the healthcare components and education. And I mean, I feel like a lot of times our community ends up being the educator for their practitioner, right? You've kind of had to walk that process a little bit too, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate in my journey. I actually had a practitioner tell me about MCAS. Well, that's not true. I had a coworker tell me about MCAS, and then I went to my practitioner with all these symptoms, and he was like, "Oh, that sounds like MCAS." So he knew of it, but I will say his only recommendation was take an antihistamine and eat a low histamine diet. So it wasn't really like get at the root cause. It was more so like just go take an antihistamine.
Right.
You probably have it. And I was like, well, now I know so much more that MCAS is so different than just histamine intolerance. So like what he was giving me recommendations for would make a lot of sense for just histamine intolerance. Mm-hmm. But I mean, MCAS goes so much deeper, and he suspected that I probably had it because of all my autoimmune conditions and all the layers. But it's just interesting. And I actually, we talk about empowerment and navigating the healthcare system. And so I took that little tidbit from him, and then I went and found Mast Cell 360 and did a deep dive and started educating myself. So it really does go back to, and I'm going to talk about this, it really goes back to you. Everything's going to go back to you. You're the one living this life. You're the one who knows what it's like to live every day in your body. And so you're the one responsible for taking action.
It's so true. So true. And I know part of taking action, and, of course we all want to get to the root cause, but it takes time. It's a process. It takes the community, the support, the education, the wisdom, the practitioners. But there are some things we can do right now. And I know that you're going to share a little bit about identifying triggers. And this is like a big way we can have agency in our own health journey and really start to move the needle closer to like the aha moments we need to have, right? Because I know last week you talked about the non-linear nature of our health journey, right? It's the ups and the downs. It looks more like Cam always loves to say, it looks more like a spiral on our team and that spiral staircase. And so could you like break that down just a little bit more for us? Because you are a health coach, like you're so good at this, and you've made it honestly so easy for me to grasp and process, especially as kind of a newbie to this space. Help us understand like what our triggers are or could be, and how can we really use that to help, empower us in our healing journey.
Yeah, identifying triggers are kind of like that first stage, I'd say, and it can be really helpful for understanding the root cause. So we spoke a lot about last week. Sorry if you hear the beeping in the background. That's my dehumidifier. Little side note about your environment.
Right. I love that. That is, you know what? This is the second time we've had a fun, something has happened during a live.
Balloons happen later if you missed it.
I love it.
Have magic balloon fingers.
Time to celebrate, right?
So identifying triggers are really helpful for understanding your root cause. So we spoke a lot last week about the importance of nervous system support in that first stage of the MC360 method. And what that is stabilization. And so mental stress is just as much of a trigger as physical stressors. So like mold, food sensitivities, those are physical stressors on the body, right? But mental stress can also be a trigger. And so I just wanted to point that out for you guys to keep in mind. The body doesn't actually know the difference between like being chased by a real tiger, which was a real threat in our ancestors' past, or like a work deadline or sitting in traffic, right? And so stress on the body, whether it's mental or physical, has a really profound impact. And so becoming aware is going to be crucial. So becoming aware of what your symptoms are and when you're experiencing them. And so that's why like keeping a symptoms journal is something that I would recommend for people starting out, just to get an idea of like what you're experiencing and when, to see if you can correlate it with something going on in your environment or in your life. And so this can, something else for people who are just starting out, a symptom can take up to 3 days to present itself, especially food ones. So something you ate 3 days ago, 72 hours later might be presenting. So for me, if I get glutened at a restaurant or eat like a lot of inflammatory food, like seed oil, something was cooked in like canola at a restaurant on a Friday, I usually am fine Saturday, but am so fatigued on Sunday. And it has taken me about a decade to figure out that pattern. So I'm not great at symptoms journals, but if you are, they can be a really great tool to kind of start identifying those triggers.
Look at this. I just have to like highlight this. Irene, teach us your ways. She has been recording for 3 years.
That's awesome.
That is amazing, Irene.
And if able to find some insight from that.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd be curious if anyone uses any apps as well, because I'm seeing more and more of those. So if y'all use anything, drop it in the comments. We'd love to kind of take a look. We don't have one that like we necessarily recommend yet. So we're always looking to hear what works for you.
Yeah, I've used the app My Symptoms in the past. I'm just not good at consistency. So I'll do it for like a couple weeks and usually get what I need from it. Like if I'm in a flare up and be like, oh, I've stopped taking that supplement, and then I can add that supplement back in, sort of thing. So they can be really helpful to kind of track like what you did, and maybe a symptom happened, or you're tracking a symptom and then you can think back, okay, what have I done in the past 3 days, sort of thing. So, or you can literally track everything that you're doing all the time and hopefully see patterns. So next is an elimination diet. And this elimination diets, I'll just say, are not meant to be long-term. They can be, I like to call them like therapeutic diets, right? So we are using them as a sort of therapy in the sense that we are removing foods that we aren't sure whether or not they are affecting us. So you can jump right in to an elimination diet by like removing all high histamine foods from your diet. And then as you start to notice your histamine bucket being lower, you may be able to tolerate some of those foods more here and there. So when I went low histamine, at the time I couldn't eat without my nose pouring, and I was living with low-grade headaches all the time. As soon as I learned about a low histamine diet and implemented it the best that I could, my headaches cleared up. I could not believe that I was living every day with a headache. And then when I removed a trigger, which was in this case histamine, that symptom cleared up. And so elimination diets, we do recommend doing with a knowledgeable practitioner, because you don't want to remove foods unnecessarily. We know how many people in this community are down to like 4 foods or less than 10 foods. And so one thing that we try to recommend is for everything you take out, try to find something that you can replace it with. So a good example of this for histamine would be swapping out spinach. So removing spinach from your diet and adding in something like arugula. And so we do want you guys to be careful because we need food. Food is fuel, and it gives us nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and we don't want to deplete ourselves any more than we have to. So it can be very helpful to work with someone on the diet part. Environmental awareness is another thing to be aware of when identifying triggers. And so I mentioned that my dehumidifier was beeping because it's full. We have a 35-pint dehumidifier in our house, and it's already full. And I don't really know if it was empty this morning or not, but keeping your humidity level between 40 and 50 is very, very good for managing mold growth. And so knowing that I have mold sensitivity, we do everything that we can within our power to create an environment where we're going to reduce mold growth for my health. And so that goes back to there's going to be things outside of your control, but there's always going to be some things within your control. And so managing that environment to the best of your ability is one of those things that is in your control. So temperature, right? We know environment. Let's talk about a few other environmental triggers. Temperature is a big one for our community. I could never understand why I felt temperature so much more drastically than everyone else in the house. Right after I had my son, I had him in April, but I was on maternity leave that summer, and I could not understand why it was so unbearable to go outside. I do live in Maryland, so the humidity level in the summer can be pretty high, and so it can be really hot, but my hormones were just so off. And at the time, I didn't know I had MCAS. And so it makes a lot more sense now looking back at temperature being a trigger for me. Another one, just to throw it out there, is it has to go back to histamine, but related to the environment, was motion sickness. So in the car, you'd think the motion of the car was the trigger, but the trigger really was high histamine. And so for me, I'd get motion sick or nauseous in the car sometimes, but not other times. And again, after 2 years of really diving into histamines, I realized that I only get motion sick in the car when my histamine bucket is a little bit overflowing. So really understanding what these triggers are can help you start reducing them to support reducing those symptoms. And so I didn't think I had community support in there, but I do. We identifying triggers, you can turn to people who have been through what you've been through to learn more about what you're experiencing, through shared experience. But I do want to say that this can be a double-edged sword. So I want you guys to be careful about going into these forums and seeing what everyone else is saying and being like, oh, that's me, because I want you guys to remember that individual component, right? So while we do need community, and this community is very beneficial for learning, what we want to keep in mind is we don't want, things to become overwhelming more so from that community. So that's the takeaway here. Your journey is individual. And we want you to get to a place where you're curious about your symptoms and what triggered them, but then always turn inward and reflect on what's going on for you personally.
That's really good. That's really good, Jamie. And I think that's something that I've been learning. And even, it's interesting, as you've mentioned certain symptoms and shared more of your story, I've seen in our comments where, someone's like, hey, I've also had a low-grade fever, or I've experienced this, or I've experienced that. And I think we can all see parts of ourselves in our community's journey. And I think that's good. But again, remembering that we've got to look at the overarching triggers, the overarching, symptoms that we're going through, understanding where we are, hopefully in the MC360 method of the process, because everyone's just a little bit different. I think I was listening to something yesterday and they were talking about, how we're all a wonderful, unique snowflake. And we're all completely unique, right? With our own fingerprints. And so in the same way, we've got that component, unique triggers, unique healing aspects. And yeah, there's formulas and there's process and best practices that, we've been a part of helping cultivate and seeing our community heal from. But the reality is everyone's on their own journey. So it's okay. It's okay to see yourself in someone's story, but make sure that's actually the same information. And that does take asking for the right kind of help, right?
Yeah.
We ask someone that knows what they're doing. That's for sure. I love that Mary shared this. She said that Primal Trust has been really good for her. And
Yeah.
Primal Trust is an awesome community that, if you guys don't have community support, but you're looking for community, that's a good one. Cam, if you can, do you mind dropping in the Primal Trust information for anyone that maybe wants to take a look at that nervous system support tool, as well as the community that they offer as a part of it? Jamie, I don't know if you want to chime in and reference Primal Trust at all here, but I think they're a good example of how that can make a big difference. And
Yeah.
I do love, Patty also shared too, that she's relating to everything you're sharing today, Jamie. I love this. It's so good.
Yeah, Primal Trust is our number one recommendation right now for the nervous system support. Dr. Kathleen King has done an amazing job creating that community. And so we do love that program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Cam went ahead. She dropped all the information in there. They give us our special code. So y'all can take a screenshot of this or come back and find this later. Keep watching the live because it's all good stuff. But if that's something you've been thinking about and you just, maybe you're like the rest of the world right now, kind of holding bated breath as we're all dealing with so much. And for those of us that are American citizens, like our nation, the news, like there's a lot going on right now. So if you just need that little bit of extra support, or maybe I know I saw one of our community members dreading having to deal with upcoming winter, or maybe you're in the midst of a move or a major life transition, having that extra bit of support is a big win. So just want to take a moment to highlight that. Now, I know, Jamie, that as we were just kind of starting to kind of talk through the importance of everyone knowing their own story and things being, how do we navigate this nonlinear process? We talked about that last week, and going from overwhelmed to empowered. I think there's probably like a mindset shift that has to happen here. So I know you're going to get into the topic of personalization and everybody kind of owning their own story, but I'd love for you to just take a second, because you've been in their shoes, to just give them a little bit of wisdom about how they can own their own story.
Yeah. So, right, this is all about like the empowerment journey. And so, like, if we're I love analogies, right? Last week I talked about the mountain and the peaks and the valleys of your journey. And so if we think of MCAS healing, like your MCAS healing journey as a story, like you're the author. And so like you get to write that next chapter. And so I just want to leave you guys with that, like to think about like, this is your journey and you get to decide what happens next. No one else does.
That's so good. Jamie, this is why I want you to be my coach. This is why I'm so excited you're doing coaching now, because like, I wish when I went through anaphylaxis and almost died, I would have had someone like yourself, or quite frankly, anyone on our team, to sit me down and say, hey, you're dealing with a lot and you're scared and there's a lot going on. And, just being told, take Benadryl, that's not going to fix all the things. It wasn't, and it didn't. And it's taken me several years to find this team and this community. And I'm so grateful I'm here. And now I'm starting to walk through that process of personalization, and I'm seeing how much it can make a difference. So please do share on this. I know this is something that's really important to you, and I think it's going to really help us move from overwhelm to feeling empowered in our story today.
Yeah, so just reiterating that your symptoms can vary greatly. MCAS symptoms vary greatly from person to person. So what works for one person may not work for another. And while it can be comforting, like we talked about this a little bit earlier, while it can be comforting when you think you found someone who's been through what you have, I just want to remind you that you're unique and you deserve to find what works for you. So you have to keep that in mind, because and it's great. Again, here's the double-edged sword of that, of the online community, is you get ideas from other people and you can try them. But if that doesn't work, don't be discouraged, because like healing is a lot of trial and error. And that's where like the peaks and the valleys come. We may try something, feel a little bit better. We go into a flare. We try something else that we see online. It keeps us in the flare until we find the next thing that works to help us get out of the flare, right? So there is a little bit of trial and error to this journey. But you do have to remember that just because it worked for someone else, it's okay that it doesn't necessarily work for you. And I talked a little bit about like that awareness, right? So coming back into ourselves. So this is where that nervous system support can be really, really important, because our nervous system, it can be hard to understand what's happening in our bodies when we're highly dysregulated at a nervous system level. And so knowing that our nervous system is where, when it's regulated, we're in touch with that innate ability to tell us what we need. And so again, dysregulated, have trouble knowing what's working or what's not, or what we should do next, right? But when we are regulated, so once we start adding that nervous system component in and we start regulating and we start feeling more in tune with ourselves, we'll be able to get in touch with that innate wisdom that we have, so that we can then figure out what works, what doesn't work. And so I can't emphasize enough like how important for the healing journey it is to work on that on your nervous system. And so that, you know, well, we're gonna talk about like why this personalization is so important, is because while we have the MC360 method as a framework, that's all it is. It's a framework. How it is applied will vary from person to person, and what exactly needs to happen first, again, will vary from person to person. And an individual sensitivity level will vary from person to person. So our practitioners use the MC360 method, and our MC360 health coaches, we use this method as a framework. And then we look at who you are as an individual to really figure out what needs to happen for you. It's important to be adaptable, right? Because we know that symptoms and triggers can evolve over time. You may have not had a symptom in the past, and your environment may change. You may develop a symptom. So it's important to just, again, be comfortable in those peaks and valleys, because while it's annoying to have a flare, each setback is an opportunity to learn about what is or isn't working and what you can continue to work on. And then I just want to drive home, right, the point of empowerment, that you are the author of your healing journey. And what happens next is open to you. Only you can decide that. But the first part is kind of, let's go back to that mindset shift that Christina mentioned. You have to be willing to take control of your healing journey in order to build that confidence and build resilience to managing MCAS. So if you aren't willing to change your life, no change will happen. So you have to be open and willing in order to make any changes, because otherwise nothing will change.
It's so true. That is so true. I love this quote. Mary, we always love when you pop up. I just want you to know that we see your name, we get excited as a team, because we're like, Mary's on live, and it's so fun. But she just totally echoed what you were saying. Like, only you can heal yourself. Like, you have to be engaged in this process. You have to have the agency to move from overwhelmed to empowered, and really own that part of your story. And Mary, this is why we just love you, Mary. You're just a delight. She's just acknowledging that the way that we work with our clients and our community is really, it's individualized. And it is. I mean, that's the whole point of what we do. Sure, there's a method, a proprietary method and process that we walk through, just that's been developed, but ultimately it's for each and every person. And so with that being said, I mean, I know that one of the conversations we hear from our community, we talk about as a team, I mean, we have this multi-practitioner approach to even caring for our clients, is we get this question a lot, Jamie, and I know you see it in the inbox, which is like, how do I know what is my next step? You know, maybe I'm lacking community, maybe I'm unsure of how to step into an empowered place. I know I want to try something different. I know I'm not happy or satisfied with the sense of overwhelm and dread and maybe even concern about the upcoming holiday season and having to deal with family and set boundaries. And you just like need some help. And you're trying to navigate between the local practitioner process, a virtual clinic like what we have at Mast Cell 360, or the brand new offer that we shared last week, which did y'all see us share that? I'm so excited. So we're now doing these one-on-one strategy sessions, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But Jamie mentioned we've already started them. We've already had some people raise their hand and say, I'd love some one-on-one help. I'd love to meet with someone like Jamie, one of our Mast Cell health coaches, and kind of get started. So for that person that's looking to kind of turn the page and start the next chapter of their health journey, maybe go from the valley into a peak season, right? Go to a good place. I'd love for you to share how they need to know, do they need the clinic? Do they need a one-on-one MCAS strategy session? And I know we've got a slide for that, so I'm going to pull that up for you because it's a real helpful visual. But will you dive into this? Will you help them know like what is the best next step for them?
Yeah. So, as a health coach, like I always tell people that I work with, I'm not like the answer to all of your questions, right? I am one of the many support people on your team. So you kind of have to put together a whole team of people. In order to work with a Mast Cell 360 practitioner. So I will say, we are a remote health consulting clinic. We are not a medical practice. We do not treat, diagnose, or prescribe. So anyone who is looking for that long-term health and or health coaching and accountability with people who can tailor protocols to not just like mold toxicity and nervous system support, but maybe they have more chronic health issues, the clinic is going to be a great option for you, but we're only open to US-based clients at this moment. So just something to keep in mind, you do have to have a primary care physician in order to work with one of our practitioners. It is a prerequisite. Now, the difference between the clinic and a MCAS strategy session is the clinic is ongoing. We expect people, it's a very lengthy application process for a reason. We want to make sure that we are the best fit for your case. Now, the other option that we just launched last week is the MCAS strategy session. Right now, this is a one-time session. It's ideal for someone who's just starting out or feels stuck and they aren't sure maybe what that next step is. And so it's a way to speak to someone about your current case and get an idea of, okay, what is my next step? And the great thing about this is that we have opened these up to our global community. So if you are international, this is an opportunity to get some inside knowledge about the workings of Mast Cell 360, even if you're unable to work with us in the clinic. So we're really excited to present this to our community.
All right. So for those of you, just to clarify, that are part of our international community, we saw Ireland, we've seen the UK, Australia. We have heard you. We have heard you say to us, please help us out here. And so we're really excited. Now, of course, we are based in the United States. So we do serve during US hours, just as a quick reminder. But we wanted you to know that this is something specifically that can help you as an international MC360 community member. It can also help those of you that are just not sure where to start or maybe aren't ready for that full clinic experience, like Jamie mentioned, but it's a way to get started. So I'm so excited that we get to share that. I saw Mary actually asked, like, how do I get a coach? Mary, you read our mind. Like, we literally just told you that's exactly how to do it. So if you are interested in taking a look at our MCAS strategy sessions and you are looking for a one-on-one consultation with one of our coaches, our Mast Cell 360 strategy coaches, this is the opportunity for you to go ahead and jump on in and get that done. Right now, we're doing $100 off. They're normally $397, but they're on sale now for $297 since we're just rolling them out. No code, none of that fancy stuff. It looks like Cam put the link in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, whether you're watching live or on the replay, you'll be able to get that. And so you can go ahead and book your session today. You don't have to book immediately, but you can go ahead and secure your spot with a future session. That's also an option too. That's a huge win and opportunity to do. And if you're interested in applying to work with our clinic, I'm going to go ahead and have Cam drop that in the chat as well. And I'm going to include the link on our banner. You can just go to mastcell360.com/application to apply to be a part of our clinic. Anything you'd like to add related to that, Jamie?
No, I think you got that covered.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for just kind of sharing on this. And I'm so excited to hear how our community engages with this, right? Like, and hear the success stories that just come out of these initial really 50-minute one-on-one sessions. They're going to be just a game changer, we really feel. And so we're excited to kind of serve as many individuals as we can with getting them that personalized first step in their process. So that'll be really good. Well, I know for those of you that saw it on social media, we are doing a contest today. We're doing a special giveaway. So we're excited to share that with you. So hang with us. Just a couple more minutes. We're going to be wrapping up, but we are going to do that giveaway. But in the meantime, what I wanted to do is actually just share with you in real time what it kind of looks like to do the booking process for our strategy sessions. And so literally what you'll do is just go to that main landing page and we walk through exactly what's included in your session. And we wanted to kind of give you a clue on what to expect when you book. So Jamie, would you like to share just a little bit more of what the process is like?
Sure. So this is all new. We've kind of invented, right? We didn't really copy anyone else. This is all like the Mast Cell 360 brainchild. And so we put it together the best of our ability. And so bear with us. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to email us at support@mastcell360.com. But you'll go to the landing page that Cam shared, mastcell360.com/MCAS-strategy, and you will be able to book your session there. Once you book it, you're going to get a confirmation email that includes the link to schedule. So you buy your session, you'll check your email, you'll get a link, and then you should immediately book your appointment because we're filling up quickly. While you're on booking your appointment, on Calendly, you will be filling out a questionnaire, which helps your coach prepare for your session by giving us a little bit of background information about your case. You'll be emailed reminders after you schedule with a link that will be to Zoom, and you'll join your coach at the session time on Zoom. And then you'll be followed up with an email with the personalized action steps that we discuss on your session. So you will get at least 3 action steps to take post-session that you can start implementing.
And just, I'll tell y'all, I saw the booklet that comes along with like the after step, like next steps kind of process. And I was like, wow, guys, this is amazing to have such a resource to make available to everyone. So yeah, definitely, give it a look, see if this is for you. Just as Beth would always say, and I just want to continue to say, fast is slow, and we recognize that, and we recognize that not everything is for you. But if you've been looking to, again, kind of turn the page, start a new chapter, this is a great opportunity to see if this is something for you. We are utilizing the MC360 method in this process, and you can read all the details here. I did want to just mention in particular, there are a handful of conditions that we don't work with, so you can read all the details there. But, unfortunately right now, like if someone's, dealing with like maybe cancer, or they're maybe a kiddo and they're under the age of 3, they're dealing with maybe substance addiction, some of those types of things, we're not able to work with on these strategy sessions. But if you have questions, of course, you can email us at support@mastcell360.com. And then I did want to just highlight for you that we do have a section at the bottom with all the FAQs, all the frequently asked questions. So of course you can email us, but if you want to start there and just kind of research about paperwork, how long it is, tech requirements. I did see someone ask about, can we work with, maybe someone that is, visually impaired, or dealing with, we do have community members that can't be on the phone, can't be on screens, those kinds of things. This is a session that does occur on Zoom. It does require video as well. So just so you know, we do our best to, of course, accommodate everyone that we can. But if you've got a unique or special case, feel free to email us, and we're happy to talk about if you're a right fit for our current offerings. I did also want to just mention, I saw a comment here because Mary mentioned something about coaching sessions and free coaching sessions. So I just wanted to clarify, these coaching sessions aren't free. We wish they were free. That would be pretty amazing, right, Jamie? They are currently $297, so they're $100 off the normal rate of $397. And just for like a point of context, if someone were to come in and work with maybe Kimberly, who you guys see on our show all the time, or Alex at the clinic, the $297 amount is definitely lower. We'll just say that than if they were to step into working with one of our incredible practitioners at kind of a larger investment. Is that a good way to say that, Jamie? I think that's,
yeah. And I think the confusion was Mary mentioned, well worth your time and effort to do a free coaching session. I wonder if you meant because it's a great segue into today we're giving away one free session. So
that's
someone
right.
who has attended live will be gifted a free session.
And I don't know, Jamie, do you see the name? Because I see the name.
Hold on. Who's going to announce it?
I can say it.
Okay, you can announce it.
All right, drum roll. Everybody do your drum roll. Drop it in the chat. We are so excited to give away our first ever MC360 MCAS one-on-one strategy session to Mary Freidenberg. Congratulations, Mary. We are going to drop our support information below in the chat. So go ahead and send us an email. We'll get you scheduled for your very own free coaching session. So you called it, Mary. We are definitely giving one of those away today. So thanks for showing up and being with us the entire time. It's just an honor to be able to bring something brand new to each and every one of you that will give you an opportunity to see and experience breakthrough in your health. All right, Jamie, any final thoughts as we close out today's session? We will, of course, be back here next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. More details on that to come because, I've heard that there's like maybe a theme for next month. I don't know if you've heard about the theme, but we've been talking about mold has been coming up a lot around the office. So I think just, sneak peek for those of you on live, there's some fun things coming in October, some special guests coming in October. So we're excited to kind of get back into that and really bring the show just back in the way that you guys love, diving into greater topics, more live Q&As. It's going to be fun. So Jamie, final thoughts on MCAS sessions?
No, they're happening now, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm really excited to be able to be part of the journey for whoever decides to take us up on this offer. And I just want to express my gratitude for everyone who showed up today, because that is part of the empowerment journey.
That is so, so true. Well, I echo Susan's sentiments. We're grateful for you, Jamie. We're grateful for everybody that joined us live now and on the replay. We're honored to be here with you on this journey, and we'll continue to meet you here, right back here next Tuesday, 1 p.m. And until then, be well. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye, everyone.